In this unit we investigate cell structure, the main features of plant and animal cells and the similarities and differences between them. Scientists investigate cell structure with the use of microscopes. There are many options, but the two most common ones are light and electron microscopes for GCSE and A-level. The electron microscope offers much greater magnification and resolution, however is more expensive. It won't be found in school labs. You'll have come across the traditional light microscope though. Cells are the building blocks of all living organisms, so we need to investigate further and work out what goes into making a cell. Firstly, animal cells. Enclosed within a cell membrane is the cytoplasm, an aqueous environment that contains all the organelles. At GCSE, the organelles that we consider are membrane-bound organelles such as the nucleus and the mitochondria. We also need to look at ribosomes. The nucleus houses the genetic information, the chromosomes. These govern our characteristics and control the activities of the cells. Mitochondria are the site of aerobic respiration, a topic we explore in much more detail later. And ribosomes are involved in the synthesis of proteins. The cell membrane is important. It's a bilayer made up of a special type of molecule called a phospholipid. It controls what enters and leaves the cell. Plant cells contain pretty much the same things as animal cells do. They have a nucleus, mitochondria, and ribosomes, carrying out the same functions that they do within animal cells. But plant cells are different though, and they contain 3 extra features. These are the cell wall, the chloroplasts, and a permanent vacuole. The cell wall is made up of a material called cellulose and offers an extra layer of protection. It prevents the plant cell from bursting when it takes in water for photosynthesis. The chloroplasts are vital. They contain a pigment called chlorophyll. They are the photosynthetic center in the plant. They help the plant make their own food. And finally, they contain a permanent vacuole, which is essentially an aqueous solution containing reserves of salt and sugar. Not all cells look the same. Cells are specialized, which means they have a specific shape for a specific function. You will need to be able to describe cells and their adaptations that allow them to carry out their special functions. Let's take a look at a couple of examples within animals and plants. In animals, you'll find within the bloodstream the red blood cell. The red blood cell has a unique shape. It's biconcave. It also has hemoglobin, a special molecule that allows it to carry oxygen. Red blood cells are unique in the fact that they don't actually contain a nucleus, which means that there's more room to carry the hemoglobin and hence carry oxygen. Root hair cells are an example of specialized cells in plants, found on roots. These are long and thin, again giving a larger surface area to take in water and minerals from the soil. Adaptations include the fact that they don't contain chloroplasts. They would just take up unnecessary room, since the root hair cell can't photosynthesize, as it's underground. Root hair cells contain extra mitochondria. Remember, these are the site of aerobic respiration, which is a release of energy, and root hair cells can use this energy to help take in minerals from the soil. To help work out the specializations of a cell, we can ask 2 questions. The first question is, does the cell have an unusual shape? The second question is, does the cell have any extra organelles, or does it have anything missing? Let's illustrate this using an example. Consider the sperm cell. This is a male gamete or sex cell. The first question we would ask is, does it have an unusual shape? Which it does. It's long and thin, and it has a tail. This allows it to be streamlined and make its way towards the egg. It allows it to be flexible and provides unhindered movement. The second question was, does it have any organelles that are extra or anything missing? Sperm cells have extra mitochondria. They need the extra energy to help them move. Crucially, sperm cells have half the genetic information. Remember, the other half comes from the mother's egg cell. So we now know how a sperm cell is adapted for its function and how it is specialized. Cells can combine together and make tissues. The definition of a tissue is a group of similar cells join together for a similar function. Examples are muscle tissue, which is a group of similar cells, i.e. muscle cells joined together, and the role of muscle tissue is to allow contraction. We also have glandular tissue. The function of glandular tissue is to secrete substances. And then tissues can join together, and the combinations of tissues are referred to as organs. Specific definition of an organ is groups of different tissues joined together for a similar function. Examples of organs are the heart, whose function it is to pump blood around the body, or the stomach, which is involved in digestion. We know that an organ is groups of different tissues joined together for a similar function. The kinds of tissues that go into the stomach are muscle tissue, whose role it is to contract so the food in the stomach can be churned. Stomach also contains glandular tissue, so substances such as hydrochloric acid and enzymes can be secreted to kill bacteria and aid digestion. Plants are also examples of living organisms made of organs. We could consider the leaf. The leaf is an organ made up of lots of tissues joined together. The function of the leaf is photosynthesis, so all of these different tissues combine to carry out the process of photosynthesis. It's made up of lots of tissues such as the palisade mesophyll layer, the spongy mesophyll layer, the upper and lower epidermis, and there are tissues such as xylem and phloem. We study all of these in more detail in a later unit, but it's sufficient at this stage to consider the fact that the leaf is an excellent example of an organ. Just to recap, we've considered how cells are made of organelles, and combinations of cells are called tissues, and tissues go to make organs. We next look at organ systems. These are groups of organs joined together for a similar function, and we'll consider many organ systems throughout this course, such as the circulatory system, whose job it is to act as a transport system, carrying oxygen, minerals, glucose around the body. We consider the excretory system, the kidney, whose job it is to filter out the toxic substances in blood, such as urea. The respiratory system, which is involved in gas exchange. The digestive system, which consists of the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, whose job it is to aid in the digestion of food. And we look at the nervous system, which is made up of the brain, the spinal cord and the peripheral nerves, whose job it is to respond to changes in the environment.